Willkommen zu einem weiteren Filmgespräch im Silbersaal des Deutschen Theaters in München, prunkvoll zum 36. Filmfest, DOK.fest in München. Heute geht es um den Film The Last Hillbilly, zu dem die beiden Regisseure zugeschaltet sind. Sie sitzen in Lille in Frankreich, weil sie beiden Franzosen sind. Ich begrüße Diane Sara Bouzgarrou. Hallo Diane.
Hallo, wie geht's?
Ça va?
Ça va.
Und ihren Partner und Kollegen Thomas Jenkoe. Thomas, hallo.
Hello.
It's very good to be here with you.
Der Film läuft in der Reihe DOK-Film International und ist für den Kino-Publikumspreis eingeteilt, der von Bayerischen Rundfunk und von Dreisat gestiftet wird. Ich verändere jetzt unsere Sprache auf Englisch und rede über diesen doch sehr interessanten Film. The Last Hillbilly. How did you come across, as you are two French people, how did you come across a guy living in Kentucky?
Well, it is quite a miracle, but we actually were wanted to go to be in America, where an area that is not touristic, and just to try to stay in a very small town in the middle of nowhere in America. So we kind of decided it would be Kentucky. And by chance, when we were talking with Thomas in French on a fast food room, Brian heard us talk in French, and he came to us and was very curious about why we were here, because he said even Americans don't come down here. So French people is even weirder. So we kind of talked the whole night, and he told us, well, this is not the real Kentucky. We have to go to my place in Appalachia, and I have to show you what it is to be a hillbilly, etc. So the next day we went, and it was the beginning of a profound friendship. And like over the years, we became aware of his poems and his territory, and we decided to create a film about him and his
and with him.
With him, yeah.
So the first time you met him, you didn't have a camera with you. You were just visiting Kentucky.
Yes.
Yes.
And
we were kind of, yeah.
And he was the first contact you had in this area. The first guy who talked to you.
Yeah, it was the first contact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we kind of talked quickly to like a restaurant person or something, but he was really eager to speak with us and to present us his culture, and he was very curious about. He was very much passionate at the time with his hillbilly culture. He was like kind of defining what it was to him and taking this cliche and trying to make it his own. So that's kind of how it started. We talked a lot through email, and then we spent a whole month 2 years later with him. Like we always lived with him and his family for over the years. So it was really an immersive experience.
You spent 7 years with him in Kentucky, is that right? On and off?
Oh yeah. Like we spent, we went each year, and sometimes it was 2 times 2 weeks. Sometimes it was a whole month, and even the last year was like 4 months. So we got to spend a lot of time with them.
Was it easy?
7 months in total.
Mm-hmm. Was it easy for you to convince him to do a film? Because it's not so, some people say, oh, I don't want to be on the big screen, my life is private and I don't want to have that. Was it easy but did Brian get along quite easily?
Well, Brian was kind of instantly a character, you know, like he was kind of, I think he's very shy and very secret in his own community. And so he was, like there was a strong friendship, and I think to him it was important to make this film so that he could finally express himself in a way. So Brian was quite, yeah, he wanted to do the film, even though I think it was still, he was very generous and let us do what we wanted. And it was more like the rest of the family. Some people, like this is an area where people are very private. So we had to, we had to work, not work, but like to be completely with them, living with them, playing with the kids, working with the cows sometimes, and slowly some persons became okay with the fact of being filmed, but we went kind of slow. Like the person we filmed the most was Brian, and the kids were very eager to be filmed, but the other members of the family and friends, we took it slowly.
And it was easier for us to do it because we are French, and I think it would be probably more difficult if we were young kids, for instance. I mean, from the north part of the US. So
because we didn't have any idea of what it meant to be a hillbilly. Like outside of America, it's not something we really know. So if we had been like from Los Angeles or from any other culture in America, they would have been probably more private, because there is this kind of tension between them and the others because of the whole culture of hillbilly that is a heavy cliche there. So being foreigners, we were completely, they were very generous and opened their hearts, their life to us. So it was an amazing experience.
And the term hillbilly is normally in American language, it's a degrading term. It's a negative, like people who are a little bit stupid and live in the hills and have no idea of modern life and stuff like that. But you used that as a title. Why did you stuck to that title and to that word?
Well, it was because we got interested in this culture because Brian was very much eager to think about how could he still be, like, how could he accept this insult and this negative word, and because he kind of felt like it was negative, but in a way it is true that it is a culture and an identity, and so he was kind of in a position where he was trying to take this word and to make it something complex and not reject the cliche, but kind of try to understand what it meant to be a hillbilly, what it meant before and what it means now. So I think we had no intention of doing something that would be ethnographic, like an anthropologist, or I don't know the word in English, but we really wanted to have an artistic approach and not just talk about the hillbilly culture, but still it was something that he embodied so much, and that was very, we kind of wanted to do a film where he thinks about this culture that was in the past and that has been attached to all the mining, and now the mining is gone and they're left with kind of nothing, like an identity that even the cliche is no longer sustainable because the hillbillies were like all the decades ago. So that's why we named the film The Last Hillbilly, because we had kind of over the years the feeling that they all there had kind of a sense of something that is going away and fading away, because the hills are gone, like are empty. Like people have to go and forget or stay and wander in the ruins of their past world. So it was still like we wanted to do a film that would be universal and that could talk about the whole world and not just this place, but still it was also about this particular world that we wanted to work on.
Mm-hmm. And the whole shooting of the film happened when Trump was president. And he became president, and then he stayed for 4 years. How did Brian react when Trump was elected by mostly people from the Rust Belt and some other hillbillies as well? How did he react to the election of Trump?
He didn't really care, because he considered himself as an anarchist, but in the same time, it was something a bit funny for him because he's a very provocative man. So
it was kind of complicated because you were not finished. Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
No.
Okay. He kind of is convinced that the end of the world is coming, so he's kind of waiting on his hill to watch the world. I mean, it's not like that because he's kind of a strongly desperate person, and I think for him it was complicated because he knew that some of the people that surrounds him were Trumpists, and he's not like he was not supporting him, but at the same time there is this conflict of not wanting to how to say in English loyalty conflict. We say that in French, but so he was kind of embarrassed because he didn't want to be in the debate. And him, it was very diverse when Trump arrived. People were like, "Oh, you gotta go film the Trumpists," and we were like, "This is not this is not what it is. Our film and these people that we know." So we tried to have his presence of Trump was more kind of a sign of something that is crumbling and that is a sign of kind of a catastrophe that's coming to the world. It was more like that, so we tried not to be too much filming about this particular moment because it's gonna pass, and we started before, and now it's gone already, and the film has to be more than that.
Yeah, but in a way, the film for me is like the trial to defend those people, because many people blamed them for all the bad things happening in America and said, look at those guys, without those guys we had a different country, and so they blame a lot of people, not only the hillbillies, but also people were poor, working poor in the Rust Belt and stuff like that. So was your intention to defend those people in a way with a movie?
Not really defend these people, but show to other people there is a very complicated and tricky question about the politics in this area. Some of them voted for Trump, others didn't, and a major part of them don't care about politics. So it's
it is a place where they feel like at the same time they want kind of to decide for themselves, but also because the state never did anything for them, and there is so it's not that we wanted to defend them because in a way they were not attacked. I mean, they were kind of like in the media, but I mean, it was more to try to be more profound than that, and to be to understand also, because for instance in Kentucky he was also elected because of the whole mining, like the coal mining that was he said I'm gonna put these guys back to work, etc. So we tried to understand more of the profound something that is political, but not like a politics that is like a party, but more like something that what it means to live in this world, what it means to have gone through all these decades of your land is becoming destroyed and you're being completely used to have to serve the empire, but then you're left with nothing. So we just wanted really to be to give the most honest film we could do with this person that let us film them, and we just really tried to be as close as we could to what Brian had understood of what was happening in his world. So we don't really work like that, like defend or attack. It's not something that we find interesting to be kind of like the person that watches the film should be free to, you know, to just go through this experience and decide for himself, or like.
All right, but when I started looking at the film, the beginning of the movie, which is this great landscape of Kentucky, and then you have some music, and then you have the poetry reading of Brian. I think is it Brian who reads the poems himself? Yes. So and I started working.
Yes. Yes.
And I started thinking. Is it a real documentary or is it a feature film? Because it started like a feature film for me, because you have the music, you have the beautiful landscape, and you have the poem, which is the poem is not spoken in the same moment as you pass the landscape. And it was very fascinating for me, I have to say. But why did you choose to make it this cinematical in a way in the beginning? Because some people who make documentaries, they say, "Oh, you don't do that. You don't use music. You don't use written down poetry and stuff like that."
Well, because I think that's really what this is our taste. Like I think we can like a lot of different cinema films, like films from different kind of cinemas. But it was from the beginning that we chose to do a film where we would dive into his stream of consciousness and kind of have moments where we would be in a different way of editing and filming to kind of create a moment to hear his words. And we had from the start decided that we wanted to try to tell a story with different tools. So the music to us was narrative, like it was not just to accompany like this moment. It was we really tried when we edited the film to experiment another way of telling this story. Like we had, for instance. We had a lot of interviews, but it was more to us to gather information that we would try to give the audience in a different way. With like, so it was from the start we wanted to try to be to do a film that would be, because you read the poems. We really love poetry, yes. And it is not it is as real as a novel can be. But it's just a different kind of reality. So we were interested in what it means to be one person. You have the past, the present, the future, the fantasies. Everything is mixed up, and that's what it is to be. The reality is also interior. So that's why we tried to use all kinds of tools to offer the audience an immersive experience.
Yeah, and we wanted to catch the stream of consciousness of Brian. So that's why we used all these kind of tools so as to try to.
And also for the beginning of the. Pardon, sorry. Oh. Just to talk about the beginning of the film, it was because we wanted to start with something that would come from like the earth and something very telleric, and because he gave us this text where he screamed this whole fresque of before the genocide of the Native Americans to like throughout the whole history of America to himself. So it was quite an epic recording.
Yeah, and he did that by himself.
Yeah, he gave us this recording. And we thought this is a perfect way to start the film. What it means to be American is to have this land under your feet that comes from far away, and there is a history of violence in America that was inside this poem. So we tried to create something from the film to support this magnificent piece of poetry that he recorded for us. So it was also for us to adapt ourselves so that what we film and how we edit can, be something that sustains his poetry.
Mm-hmm. And you filmed in like a square format. Why did you do that?
this is your...
It was because it was a kind of a remembrance of the birth of the cinema first, and then it was a way to show America in pieces. I mean, the American dream in pieces with a very small square format.
Yeah, and we wanted to not to do something like CinemaScope, which would be something that would be kind of logical when you film America. There is this whole this whole there is this whole tradition and of the Western and all that stuff. And we wanted to show something to be close to the bodies, close to the flesh, and also from the ground to the sky, like it was kind of a vertical, because they are indeed they are inhabited by the land, like the kind of like completely, they belong completely to the land, and the land belongs to them, which is a very strong relationship that they have. So it was kind of what, and also it was because we like when you know, in photography you reframe stuff when you photograph, and we wanted to have this latitude in the editing process to change the frame and decide really what we want to show in the square format.
Last question. Soon we have to finish. You showed the film in 2020. You showed it on festivals already. And did Brian come along with you to some premieres? And did he accompany you?
He was supposed to, but we were so unlucky because he's never gone out of his hills, and he had made his passport, and we wanted to give him that, to have his premiere with us, but then the pandemic happened. So we really, whenever it is safe to travel, like, we'll have him come over, of course, and we are desperately waiting to go back there to show them the film, because they saw it, but we haven't been able to talk or to directly. So so yeah, definitely he was supposed to be there.
Okay.
Then we wanted to have the kids come too, because they were so excited. But yeah, it was a huge disappointment that we showed the film in these conditions.
But you showed the film to the people in Kentucky? You made a presentation there?
We couldn't, but we gave them a link. So it's kind of deceptive, because there is a whole... You have to talk about the film when it's made, because it's way different to be filmed by two guys that come from time to time than to realize what it is to be in a film with the press, with all that. So we talked, but it was made difficult by the fact that we don't have, we can't see them in person. So they saw the film, but we haven't been able to...
And they liked the film.
Yeah, they did like the film. So
I hope we can do that in some next future. The pandemic will stop, maybe one more year or something. We don't know. Nobody knows. But it's going to be better for all of us. And I wish you all the success. It's a great film. I liked it very much. Thank you very much. Diane Sara Bouzgarrou et Jenkoe.
And just a few words. We're very happy that our film is shown in München. And we thank you.
It's a great honor.
Yeah, and the whole programmers and the whole team. And we say hello to all the audience that will see our film.
Okay. Thank you very much again. Bye-bye to Lil.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you next time, the new movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Das war das Filmgespräch zu The Last Hillbilly. Toller Film von zwei Franzosen aus Lille. Der Film ist nominiert für den Kino-Publikumspreis vom Dreisat und dem Bayerischen Rundfunk, für den Sie Ihre Stimme abgeben können, wenn Sie mögen. Der Film läuft in der Reihe DOK international. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Mein Name ist Roderich Fabian vom Bayerischen Rundfunk.